The night was warm in Los Angeles, and the bright lights of the America's Got Talent stage shimmered like stars waiting for their chosen one. Backstage, among the crowd of hopefuls, stood a man in his mid-30s named Ramon de la Cruz. His hands trembled as he clutched a worn-out photograph of his family back home in the Philippines. His wife, Marites, and their 2 children, Leah and John, smiled at him from the picture, a reminder of why he had come all this way. Ramon was not a professional singer. He was a janitor working in a downtown Los Angeles office building. Every night, after everyone went home, he'd sweep the floors while softly humming Elvis Presley songs. His coworkers used to joke, "Hey, Ramon, Elvis is back." But they didn't know that singing was his only escape, a small window back to his childhood when his father would play Elvis records in their small home in Cebu. But life was not kind to Ramon. When his father passed away and bills piled up, he had to leave his dream behind to support his family. For 10 years, he scrubbed floors, emptied trash cans, and sent every extra dollar home. Yet deep down, one dream refused to die: to sing on a stage where the world could hear him. One day, while cleaning the lobby of a recording studio, he overheard a group of young singers talking about AGT auditions. One of them laughed and said, "You know, they even let janitors audition." The words stung, but they also sparked something in him. That night, Ramon searched online for the audition details. It was a long shot, but he signed up. Weeks passed, and he almost forgot about it. Then, one afternoon, as he was mopping the hallway, his old phone buzzed. The message read, "Congratulations, you are invited to audition for America's Got Talent, Season 20. His hands shook so badly that the phone slipped from his grip. He couldn't believe it. Him, on AGT. The day of the audition came, and Ramon had nothing fancy to wear, just a clean white shirt, a black vest, and his old leather shoes that he'd polished until they shone. Backstage, other contestants looked glamorous, dancers stretching, singers rehearsing scales, magicians practicing tricks. Ramon stood quietly in a corner, whispering a prayer in Tagalog, Panjanun, Tulungan mo ako. "Lord, please help me." When his number was called, his heart pounded. He stepped into the bright lights of the AGT stage, squinting as the audience came into view. The crowd was massive. Cameras pointed at him. The judges, Simon Cowell, Sofia Vergara, Heidi Klum, and Howie Mandel, looked at him with polite curiosity. Simon leaned forward. "Hello there, what's your name?" "My name is Ramon de la Cruz, sir," he replied, his accent gentle but clear. "And where are you from?" Simon asked. "I am from the Philippines, but I work here in Los Angeles, as a janitor." There was a soft murmur from the crowd. Sophia smiled kindly. "A janitor? Wow, that's amazing. You came to sing today." Ramon nodded nervously. "Yes, ma'am. Singing has always been my dream." Simon tilted his head. "And what are you going to sing for us tonight?" He took a deep breath. "I will sing, 'Can't Help Falling in Love,' by Elvis Presley." A few people in the audience chuckled. Another Elvis cover, they thought. Simon sighed quietly, but said, "All right, good luck." Then, the music began. For a moment, Ramon froze. The lights felt too bright. His throat tightened. But then he remembered his children, their voices saying, "Papa, sing for us," and he closed his eyes. His voice, soft at first, carried through the hall. "Wise men say, only fools rush in." The audience went silent. His tone was haunting, smooth, full of emotion. Each word vibrated with pain, love, and hope. It wasn't just imitation, it was interpretation. He wasn't just singing Elvis, he was living Elvis. By the second verse, people started to stand. Some wiped their tears. Sophia clasped her hands together, whispering, "Oh my God." Heidi leaned forward, goosebumps on her arms. Simon's eyes widened. He leaned back, stunned. When Ramon reached the final line, "But I can't help falling in love with you," his voice cracked just slightly, raw and real. The last note faded. For a second, there was complete silence. Then, the entire theater erupted in applause. The audience stood, clapping, cheering, whistling. Raymond's eyes filled with tears. He bowed deeply, unable to speak. Howie was the first to talk. "Ramon, I've heard many Elvis songs on this stage, but none, and I mean none, felt like that. You didn't just sing it, you told a story." Sophia said, "Your voice is pure emotion. You made us all feel something beautiful tonight." Heidi smiled. "I felt every word you sang. You deserve to be here." Then came Simon. He paused, studying Ramon carefully. "You know, I came into this thinking, here we go again, another Elvis impersonation. But you are something else. You didn't copy him, you honored him, you reminded us why Elvis became timeless. And that was absolutely beautiful." The crowd cheered again, louder this time. Ramon covered his face, overwhelmed. Simon looked at the others. "I don't think we need to vote." He turned toward the golden buzzer. Ramon froze. The moment Simon pressed it, golden confetti rained down from the ceiling. The music soared. Ramon fell to his knees, crying. Sophia and Heidi ran up to hug him. The crowd chanted his name. Backstage, producers and crew wiped their tears. As the confetti fell, Simon said into the mic, "Ramon, this is one of those rare moments I'll never forget. You reminded us all what this show is really about, ordinary people with extraordinary hearts." The clip went viral overnight. Within hours, it had millions of views. People from all over the world commented, saying his voice healed something inside them. Elvis fans called it the most soulful rendition ever sung on television. Others simply wrote, "Thank you, Ramon." But behind the fame was still a humble man who took the bus every morning, still sending money back home. One night, as he FaceTimed his family, his little girl said, "Papa, I saw you on YouTube. You're famous." Ramon laughed through tears. "No, Anik, I'm not famous. I'm just lucky." A week later, AGT producers invited him back for the semifinals. This time, he decided to sing another Elvis song, "If I Can Dream." The title alone said everything about his journey. When the day came, the stage was dark except for a single spotlight. Ramon stood in the middle, holding his mic like a prayer. His voice filled the air, powerful, desperate, hopeful. Every lyric seemed to echo his own life story. "If I can dream of a better land, where all my brothers walk hand in hand." By the end, everyone was standing again, even Simon had tears in his eyes. When asked later why he cried, Simon said, "Because that man reminded me that dreams don't have expiration dates." Ramon didn't win AGT. But in the finale, he received something even greater, a standing ovation from millions watching at home and an offer from a record label to record his own version of Elvis classics. He returned to the Philippines a year later, not as a janitor but as a hero. Local news stations covered his arrival. His wife and children waited at the airport, holding a sign that read, "Welcome home, our Elvis." When he hugged them, it was the first time in 10 years he didn't have to hide his tears. In an interview, a journalist asked, "What's your biggest dream now?" Ramon smiled. "To build a music school for kids who can't afford lessons. Because I know what it feels like to have talent but no opportunity." Months later, he did just that. A small building in Cebu City opened, the Ramon de la Cruz Music Foundation. Kids came from nearby towns to learn guitar, piano, and singing. Ramon taught them that it wasn't about fame or applause. It was about believing in your own voice. Years passed, and his video remained one of the most watched AGT performances in history. Fans continued to comment, "I still get chills," and, "This man sang from his soul." In one emotional anniversary episode, AGT invited him back as a guest performer. The lights dimmed, and a familiar silhouette appeared. The crowd gasped, it was Ramon. He sang, "The Wonder of You," dedicating it to everyone who had ever been told they weren't good enough. When the final note ended, Simon once again rose to his feet. There are singers who entertain, and there are singers who change hearts. Ramon, you are the latter. The camera zoomed in on Ramon's eyes, no longer nervous, no longer afraid. He smiled, lifted his mic, and said, "To every janitor, every dreamer, and every believer, this is for you." The crowd roared, and the music swelled. For that moment, the world was united, not by fame, not by wealth, but by one man's voice that refused to be silenced. And as the lights faded, the narrator's voice echoed softly. "Dreams don't die, they wait for the courage to be chased."